Well, hello and welcome to the Informed Traveler Podcast, a weekly travel podcast where our goal is to help you become a more informed traveler. I'm your host, Randy Sharman. There's been a lot of different news stories this past week in the travel world, from the rising cost of domestic travel in Canada to airfare myths. So in a few seconds, travel expert Onanta Forbes will join me to break it all down. And then we'll talk with the founder of 360 Adventures. It's a company that specializes in a number of different tours through Arizona, including the Grand Canyon. So we'll learn all about those as well. But first, let's kick things off chatting with travel expert Onanta Forbes, who joins us each week to discuss some of the travel news and travel trends. You can follow her adventures on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Onanta Forbes. OnantaForbes.com is her website. Hi, Onanta.
Hi, Randy.
We're going to go through a few of the news stories in the travel industry. Mostly, well, some of it involves airfare. Well, a lot of it. Usually that's the way it is when it comes to travel. Airfare myths. This was interesting that WestJet came out with their airfare myth busting article talking about some of the things that people may think is true and not necessarily so.
Right. And one of them is that there's a notion that booking on a specific day, specifically or typically Tuesday in the early morning, will result in lower fares. And according to the airline, there is no magic days. But I can see how people can see that, because sometimes airlines do have certain days that are cheaper, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be all the time to all destinations. So keep that in mind. And another persistent myth is that last minute bookings offer the best value. And WestJet says prices tend to rise as the departure date approaches due to demand. And that early booking not only ensures savings, but also a greater choice. So, and that is true too, not just with air bookings, but even with cruises. People think, oh, I'll just wait to see what the last minute specials are. Well, there might not be, it might be like, an inside cabin. And do you really want an inside cabin? But anyway.
Some people do.
Yes, they do. I think you should be on a balcony.
But me too.
Yes. It also addresses technical theories, such as the belief that searching in the incognito mode or on a mobile device changes prices. And they're saying that fare prices are the same on the website and app, regardless of how customers access it. So don't overcomplicate matters. And as far as the incognito mode, WestJet explained that the fluctuating fares are usually the results of sales activity and availability, not tracking individual searches. That's interesting to me because, you hear the word algorithms and you think, yeah, that's what they're thinking, that there's a whole bunch of demand, so they're going to pop the price up, but they're saying no.
Interesting. And this, of course, is for do-it-yourselfers, people that are checking flights and things like that on their own. As a travel agent, what do you think of these myths? Is it true? Like, I always thought it was true that, and maybe it was 20 years ago, that if you checked on a Tuesday morning, the flights were different because they didn't have the computer systems or algorithms like they do now.
Right.
So what do you think?
I do think that the fare, I always tell my guests, book early, because again, you get the availability, you get the price. It may not be the lowest price that may be for that, but you get what you want. And that's truly important, especially if you're traveling with multiple people, whether it's a family or friends and family or people from different gateways. Book early. That's one thing I really do promote. The other thing I've noticed, and I even got a flavor of this yesterday. I was booking people going to Rome, right in the middle of the booking process, had all their names in. Up pops it. Oh, your price has changed.
Yes, I've seen that too, because it's in real time, right? It's like, suddenly it went from 500 to 550.
Yeah. So that's why I think, you have to go all the way through to the booking process till you know what the actual price is that you're paying. So
Interesting. Well, and
that's
then WestJet in this article too offers some tips as well. Is choosing the right airfare type, and this is even becoming, I think, more important because when you go on some of these booking sites and it's pricing, I don't know, I'm going to use the example, pricing start at $300, but that's the ultra basic fare, and just about every airline, and I know this is WestJet specific that they're talking about, but just about every airline offers a ultra basic fare now.
right. And that's what they consider their lead-in fare, and that's what they usually advertise or market.
Hmm.
So a traveler or consumer will think, oh, that's the fare I'm going to get. Well, not always. Again, you have to go through the whole process. And really, at the end of the day, if you think buying the ultra basic fare is going to be the best choice for you, are you taking checked baggage? Are you taking a carry on? Do you want a seat assigned ahead of time? When you add on those components, compare it then to what really would be like a kind of flex fare or another type of fare that
Hmm.
includes that already. So, um, and do you want, like, I would want access to the overhead bin, and an ultra basic, you won't have access to the overhead bin to store stuff. And they're
Hmm.
getting pretty firm. And then, there's other factors is, are you going to be last on to load or to board the flight too? So ultra basic might seem good for price sensitive travelers, but at the end of the day, the reality of your trip will be affected.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. And again, it's everyone's circumstances are different. If it works for you, fine. But things like the prepay for checked baggage as well. I always do that because if it is cheaper to
Mhm.
check your luggage online.
Definitely. Good point, Randy, because if you do it at the airport, get your seats at the airport or your bags checked in online or at the airport, it's a higher price.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, okay. So let's move on to our other story, and this is some of our other stories. The cost of domestic travel for Canadians getting more expensive, and this is kind of, well, this story suggests that it's due to the fact that Canadians aren't traveling to the U.S. They're looking for alternate destinations, such as at home in Canada, and it's more expensive. And it's the old adage of supply and demand.
It is. And, especially in summer, traveling domestically in Canada has always been expensive. It's not
Exactly.
something new. And I think even this article, it was like, it's cheaper to fly to Europe. Sometimes it is the versus flying within
Yes,
your
it
own,
is.
yeah, versus flying within your own company, your own country. Yes. Airfare has gone up. Hotels have gone up within Canada. For flights, it could be because of our high taxes, federal airport taxes contributing to the overall expense. Perhaps the U.S., travel boycott may have contributed to the shift in demand, but it's also, you have to look at, even though a lot of things that suppliers buy, whether, at the land or land, sometimes can be based in US dollars and then have to be converted into Canadian. So you have
Hmm.
to consider that as well. But our government is trying to boost domestic tourism through initiatives like the Canada Strong Pass. And, sometimes staycations are a lot of fun too, with
Hmm.
regards to exploring your own backyard.
Exactly. But you're right, though. It has always been expensive to travel within Canada, specifically airfares. And yeah, I've noticed that hotel rates are not cheap anymore.
No, they're not. And then you also have to consider sometimes you have to pay locally at the hotel a certain tax that you
Hmm.
can't prepay. So that
Hmm.
adds to the cost as well.
Exactly. Okay, our third story we're talking about specifically to YYC, Calgary International Airport. And this is actually sent to us by a listener. The story goes that you have to go through U.S. Customs within 2 hours of your takeoff time. So the person that was talking about this in the story saying it was kind of idiotic, as they use the word there. But I've never really noticed this because I always seem to catch those god awful 6:30 a.m. flights, and the U.S. Customs doesn't open until 4:30, so I've never really noticed it.
No, and when I read this report, my thought was, well, I don't think this is new because granted, COVID happened, but even before COVID, I don't think you could have gone through customs till 2 hours prior. But, people do have to aware in this day and age because I think what can confuse people is airlines are encouraging people to get to the airport quite early.
Yes.
And that might be the conflict between what time the airline tells you to get to the airport to what time you can actually go through customs. So I think that's where people are
Hmm.
getting a little bit confused. And then, I've had the Nexus for a couple of years and I really like Nexus. So when I am able to go through, I can just breeze through. I don't have to go through the, 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 the security lines per se.
Hmm.
YYC Airport has that opportunity where you can pre-book your time in line,
Hmm.
and also you mentioned about the mobile passport control app where you
Hmm.
can you can speed up your processing time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've used before. Last time I flew, I was literally, it took me maybe 2 or 3 minutes. But again, it was a 6:30 flight, and so I
Wow.
was waiting for customs to open actually. But as soon as they opened, I was like second in line. But I can see as later in the day, if you're catching a later flight, those types of things, maybe it gets backed up. And this is only specific for Calgary Airport. Vancouver doesn't have any specific rules about going through U.S. customs before 2 hours before takeoff time. Same with Toronto and all those other airports that do have the U.S. customs at the airport. So this is specific to Calgary. I guess it's just one of those things that be aware of so you know what's happening and adjust accordingly.
Right. And according to the airport authority, the 2 hour window is intended to reduce wait lines, streamline security, and make the passenger experience smoother. So the more talk to your travel agent when you're preparing to get to the airport, as well as other factors that will affect your trip.
Well, and again, this MPC app that just so people know, what you do is all you're doing is submitting your passport information, all your information prior, and you actually have to do it within a certain timeline too. I think it's within 4 hours of your takeoff time, so you don't really do it until you get to the airport. You do it prior to going to U.S. Customs, and then there's a separate line, and it'll say MPC, and you go through that line. And 9 times out of 10, it's way shorter. But now that we've mentioned this, chances are more people will do it. More people will get Lexus, and maybe it'll smooth things out. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, it's at least a tool for travelers to consider with regards to either Nexus or, going. Another way is to elevate your class of service, go business class, and you have a
Sure.
separate line as well.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, the MPC app is free too, so
That's
just so
good.
people know. Always good advice, good tips. Ananta Forbes is a travel expert. You can follow her on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Ananta Forbes. So AnantaForbes.com is her website. Thanks so much, Onanta.
Thank you. Have a good week.
This is the Informed Traveler Podcast. I'm Randy Sharman. Just want to remind you of our website, theinformedtraveler.org. That's where you can find our contact page if you have any questions or comments about the podcast. You can also email me too with any questions you might have or any show segment ideas. My email address is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And if you want to get up-to-date travel info through the week or just see a few amusing travel stories and links, you can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/informed Traveler, on Instagram at Informed Traveler, or on X at Informed Traveler. Plus, you can now sign up for our monthly newsletter. It's released at the beginning of every month. Our August issue is available now, so just go to our website, theinformedtraveler.org, click on the newsletter button, and it'll take you right there. Or better yet, subscribe to it and have it arrive in your inbox each month. Well, Arizona has always been a popular place for Canadians to visit, especially in the winter. So joining me now to talk about some of the outdoor activities Arizona has to offer is Bruce Ledbetter. He is the founder and owner of 360 Adventures, a company specializing in all things Arizona. Their website is 360-adventures.com. Hi, Bruce.
Hi there.
So tell me about 360 Adventures, how it all came about, and how you got started.
Sure, yeah. So I actually started off as a hunting guide when I was in high school and joined the Marine Corps, different kind of hunting, different kind of guiding, I suppose. But I always knew that I wanted to be outside. So when I got out of the Marine Corps, I wrote a business plan and took it through the college system and started a company called Arizona White Knuckle Adventures. This is in 1992. Over the years, we discovered that the name Arizona White Knuckle Adventures kind of didn't work. And so we dissolved that and started 360 Adventures, still as a guide company. We guide mountain biking, rock climbing, hiking, backpacking, and canyoneering. Well, we started getting a lot of phone calls for other things. And so we decided to offer other things like that. And so now we specialize in places or adventures all over the state.
And yeah, you focused in Arizona. Are you from Arizona originally?
Okay, yes, I am. Actually, I was born and raised. I was born in Tucson, raised all over the state, and now I spend my time living the full-time RV life, traveling all over the state wherever the temperatures are nice.
So is there a spot in Arizona, I'm just curious, so that you haven't been, that you don't know? Like, it's a big state, I get it, but it seems to me that if you're an outdoor guy and a guide, you've pretty much been everywhere.
I've been to a lot of places. Yeah, I guess there's got to be somewhere I've never been to. I don't think I've ever been to actually Arizona. I don't think I've ever been there. I might have been going through it. But yeah, I spend a lot of time outside in Arizona. That's for sure.
Nice. So I'm looking on your website again. It's 360-adventures.com. Like you say, you do all kinds of outdoor adventures, from rock climbing and hiking and biking and all that stuff. How fit or how much of a diehard do I need to be? If I'm just a beginner, is that okay too?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, most of the people that come out here are beginners. Hiring a guide gets you that expertise that you don't necessarily need to have.
What's included? What's a typical tour included? I'm assuming they're not self-guided. You do have a guide with you to lead you along the path and things, right?
Correct. Yes. So each tour has it comes with the equipment, and so you can bring your own bike or rock climbing shoes if you'd like to. But we have everything. Water comes. We actually got away from providing bottled water, so we asked people to bring their own bottles, reusable bottles, because obviously we want to reduce the amount of waste in the ocean. But each tour is a little bit different. So, a helicopter tour isn't going to come with a bike, if that makes sense. But we do have the helicopter. You just don't get to fly it.
Let's talk about, again, I'm looking on your website, 360-adventures.com. Up there it says, where do you want to go? And you've broken it down to 3 areas. You got the Grand Canyon, which we're going to talk about a little bit, Phoenix, Scottsdale, and Sedona, Central Arizona. So just break down the different things that you do in those 3 areas, or do you do it all in the same areas?
No, there are some things that are exclusive to, locations. Obviously, canyoneering has to happen in one of the canyons. It doesn't happen in the Grand Canyon. Unfortunately, they won't allow it, or Sedona. Rock climbing only happens in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area. Mountain biking happens in Sedona and the Phoenix, Scottsdale area. Hiking happens everywhere. All of the air tours, whether it's balloons, helicopters, or airplanes, originate in the Phoenix area. Our helicopter flights can go to Sedona, can go to the Grand Canyon, or the air tours do as well. The ground tours, that's just anything that's not a bike or, feet. And so that's Jeep tours, Hummer tours, ATV tours. Those all happen in the Phoenix area. And obviously the water tours happen in the Phoenix area as well.
So how big are the tours? How big would a tour get before it's, okay, we've got enough people now?
So each tour kind of has its one is the minimum in some cases. Some 4 is the minimum in some cases. Just depends on the tour itself. We've done groups of 100 for rafting and kayaking. So we can really, I mean, it just depends on the amount of equipment and, or capacity. Airplanes fit 5 or 9 people. The balloons, we can do, a couple hundred people for the balloon tours because we just have more balloons. So it really depends on the tour itself.
Okay, let's focus on the Grand Canyon tours, the ones out of Phoenix. These are full-day tours, but I have to admit, I haven't been to the Grand Canyon. I've flown over it a few times, and it looks absolutely amazing. So it's got to be spectacular.
It is virtually impossible not to go to the Grand Canyon, whether it's the first time or your 100th time, and not be captured by it. It's indescribable. The best photographers in the world can take decent photos of the Grand Canyon, but you cannot capture the immense amazingness of the Grand Canyon in a picture. You just can't. And so I always tell people, if this is the first time you've ever seen it, then don't be surprised if somebody in your group makes a bad word, holy moly, holy something, because it's indescribable. And I could give you the best description of the Grand Canyon. And when you see it for the first time from the ground or even from the air, I mean, depending on how high you fly over, the airliner is it's not as good as you can see it. But but the first time you see it, you're like, I didn't expect this. Almost every time I take somebody to the Grand Canyon, it just blows them away.
I guess that's why they call it one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, right?
It is the crown jewel of those 7. Yep.
And again, like you say, you do hiking. There's air tours. Let's talk about some of the hiking. I wouldn't call myself an advanced hiker. So, and these are full day trips. There's no overnighting or anything like that, right?
Nothing we do is overnight. No, unfortunately not.
Yeah.
Nope. There are some. Yeah. As a matter of fact, right now, most of the corridors in the Grand Canyon are closed due to the fire on the North Rim. But they're all single day tours. Obviously, departing from the Phoenix area, it's a bit of a drive. It's a scenic drive. It's beautiful. But yeah, they're all single day tours at this point.
So what is a typical day on a hiking tour for someone like me, a beginner? And I always kind of joke that hikers are liars because they'll keep saying, oh yeah, it'll level off soon, or we're almost there.
Yep, that's true. Yeah,
and that kind of thing. And then like you're so busy hiking, you don't stop to take in the scenery and things like that. But that's just me. But just tell me what a typical day tour hiking through the Grand Canyon would be like.
So. The term "it'll level out" almost never happens in the Grand Canyon. There are some trails for backpacking. There are some backpacking trails that do kind of level out, but as far as the day hikes, nope. It's down and then it's up. And most people overestimate their ability and underestimate the effort it's going to take to get out of the canyon, but it is beautiful, and because of that, we do stop often. And there's the trail itself. It's got steps and rocks and stuff, so you got to keep an eye on that. But why would you not look up at the Grand Canyon? And again, it's so amazing. So people are aghast at the trails and stuff. And then once you get to the we do have a turnaround spot depending on the hiker's abilities. Yeah, we do have certain turnaround spots. So, beginners a little sooner than the advanced, but again, it's tailored to the hikers.
Well, I wouldn't be one that's going to overestimate my ability. Don't get me wrong. I do love being in the outdoors and I do love hiking, but I don't need to torture myself to enjoy a hike here and there. So you mentioned all the equipment. I suppose on a hike, all you really need is shoes and water. Is there anything else that the specifics to the Grand Canyon that may be different than other areas?
Really, day packs are obviously helpful if you've got something that makes it easier. The guides obviously carry packs, first aid kits, phones, etc. But the only thing that I would really suggest, trekking poles are kind of nice as well because it does take some stress off the knees. Mostly going down, you can help lower yourself. But other than that, no, just glasses, sunscreen, lots of water, and snacks. So good salty snacks are helpful.
Is lunch included?
In some of the hikes, yes. For the hiking tours, yes, they are. Yes.
I just scrolled down and just saw the lunch options, so that answered my question. Okay, let's talk about the other tours to Grand Canyon, the air tours.
Okay, yes. So the air tours depart from the Phoenix area.
Mm-hmm.
There are two different helicopter tours. One is a tour we take you to the Grand Canyon from Phoenix. We take you to the airport and put you on a helicopter. You fly over the Grand Canyon, and then we take you back into the park. That's the Colors and Canyons one, where it's kind of a ground tour and helicopter tour.
Mm-hmm.
But our helicopter tour from the Phoenix area does take you the scenic route to the Grand Canyon. We land, and then we take you hiking or scenic tour or combination of both, and then bring you back. The airplane tours, again, from the Phoenix area, fly you there, fly you over, take you into the park, and then bring you home.
So what is the most popular? Like, what are people looking to do? Do they, or, it just, I guess, depends on the person, but are they interested more in seeing it from the air or doing a little bit of both? Which one sells out the most, or which one people talk about the most?
So the ones that I'd like to suggest to people are the Colors and Canyons, or what I call the signature flight.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
the Colors and Canyons is a van tour. It's a custom, van. It's not the, school van that we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a luxury van that takes you to the Grand Canyon, does a helicopter flight, and then takes you into the park. Or the signature flight from the Phoenix area takes you to the Grand Canyon, flies over it, lands, and you go into the park. I think that seeing the Grand Canyon from the air first and then seeing it from the ground is the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, airlines that go 30,000 feet over the Grand Canyon, you get to look down and see this crack in the ground. But when you fly over the Grand Canyon at 500 to 1,000 feet over the canyon, it's awe-inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you see it, when you see it from the ground, it still blows your mind, because from the air it kind of gives you the scope. But from the ground, and I hate to use this word, you see the grandeur of the Grand Canyon, and it's indescribable. Like I said, I could not give you any descriptions or pictures that would prepare you for the first sight of the Grand Canyon.
Wow. Well, like I say, the only way I've seen it is 30,000 feet in an airline, and even then, it's still quite spectacular. So I can only imagine what it's like when you do a tour like that. So, what do you need to know just in general? Like, if you're touring the Grand Canyon, not on your own, but doing one of your tours, like what are some of the questions that come up from your potential guests?
So a lot of the questions happen on the drive or the flight there. The drive is a neat way to see Arizona, because you go from 2,000 feet to 7,000 feet in elevation, and the topography and the landscape changes dramatically. And so what's that? A lot of kind of stuff like that. We do obviously kind of tell you stories about the history of Arizona, the geology, the geography, but not. It's kind of hard to, like I said, it's hard to prepare you for the Grand Canyon. And so most of the questions revolve around other things. When they get to the canyon, they'll ask, what is that feature? Or, how long does it take to get to the Colorado River, et cetera. So those are the kind of things, just having to explain what they're seeing is kind of common. But there's also great ways to see the Grand Canyon without a guide. It's obviously, you're not going to get the answers to the questions that you have or that guide experience, but everyone should see the Grand Canyon at least once in their life.
I think so. And not from 30,000 feet.
From one,
well,
2 feet, actually.
Well, it does sound amazing. People can check out your website, 360-adventures.com, for all the different tours, not just of the Grand Canyon, but other tours of Arizona. Bruce Ledbetter is the founder and owner of 360 Adventures. It was real fun chatting with you, Bruce. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Randy. I had a great time. Anytime you need anything, just reach out and ask.
And that is our show for this week. If you have comments or questions, we'd love to hear from you. If you have a show idea, send that along as well. My email is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And if you like what you heard, tell a friend. You can check out our website too at theinformedtraveler.org. In the meantime, thanks for listening, travel safe, and be an informed traveler.